Hey. When I have time, I've been doing a lot of stuff about with the CCS. This may be very lengthy. I may have to break it up into several parts. I'm going to be mentioning names. I hope I don't offend anybody by doing so. I know a lot of us has done a lot of research. We've done a lot of digging. And there is some things that hasn't been spoken of, or at least I haven't seen it spoken of. The recent election, some of the things that has been said about how the people has failed Louisiana. No, the people hasn't failed Louisiana. We finally come together and voted against something that we all felt was in the best interest of our state. The government as a whole is what has failed Louisiana, and this goes way, way back. So I may step on some toes with this, but that's okay. I can handle it. I've jotted down a whole bunch of notes, and also with the help of Miss Lexi and her report, it has made me dig into some areas that I really didn't think about digging into before. So with that being said, something else I want to say is it's just so strange how all of a sudden everybody's screaming about transparency. They haven't been transparent with us for decades. But now that Trump has won his campaign on being transparent, and he has come forth and been transparent on a whole lot of stuff, all of a sudden, everybody that's fixing to be running for office wants to scream about transparency. You should have thought about transparency years ago when you pulled this CCS in under a lie, under a scam. You was not transparent with us then. There's a TikTok guy, Dustin Granger. I don't always agree with everything he says. But he did a little video, and I did some digging. This goes back to tie Landry and Bobby Jindal together. Landry is following Bobby Jindal's tax plan, which made the rich richer, and it did not trickle the wealth down to the poor. That's a fact. It removed resources from roads, bridges, schools, and health care. Louisiana faced, and now currently is facing, budget shortfalls and massive layoffs, causing small communities to downfall and struggle. Thus is how the present history is being funded. So they put the small people into this little category that you feel like you have no other option but to lease your land for CCS. See how the game is played? For Miss Lexi's report, I'm not going to read it all. I went through it, made me some little notes, but I am going to touch some highlights. Carbon capture is nothing but a scam, and she is absolutely right. In 2009, Governor Jindal signed into law Louisiana Geology, Sequestration, and Carbon Dioxide. Sorry, I am not good at pronouncing words. This was the first law that began carbon capture in Louisiana. On December the 28th of 2023, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, signed a final rule giving the state of Louisiana primary enforcement authorities over Class 5 underground injection wells. As of March 26, 2025, Louisiana has 58 Class 5 carbon wells under review for 24 projects. Think about that. I can almost guarantee you that barely anyone knows of the 58 wells under review. I didn't until recently. Wells have been put into place 300 feet from any school, churches, businesses, homes, etc. But yet the kill zone for the carbon well leak is 1 mile. That's 5,280 feet. Anything within this can be immediately affected. If a carbon well leaks, thousands of metric tons of carbon dioxide will be released into the air. If humans breathe this straight CO2, there will be lasting health effects, and she is absolutely correct. CO2 appears in a non-visible, odorless gas that our five senses cannot detect. Mild exposure to CO2 gas can lead to headaches, drowsiness, and fatigue. Moderate exposure can lead to dizziness, confusion, rapid breathing, increase of heart. Severe exposure can lead to loss of consciousness, seizures, and even death due to asphyxiation as oxygen levels in your blood drop. Anyone that's worked in these plants knows exactly what I'm fixing to say about this. They will tell you when you go in, if you smell it, it's too late. Those that know what I'm talking about completely understand it. This is odorless. Completely odorless. Because our body has to have a certain amount of it to breathe. In Louisiana, 77% of its land is classified as rural land. Volunteer fire departments are not fully trained nor equipped to deal with emergencies such as CO2 well leaks. If a leak occurs, first responders will have to be at the leak site and surrounding areas in a matter of seconds. In a matter of seconds. They cannot get out the door and to the fire truck in a matter of seconds, much less fight traffic, weather, whatever the situation might be. In order to rescue the affected. If CO2 mixes with water, it is considered an acid. You think about that. An acid, when CO2 mixes with water, it makes it a carbonic acid. If a CO2 leaks into our water, it turns our water into acid. You're not going to smell it. By the time you taste it, it's too late. Carbon wells will be drilled into geologic levels underground. And these levels, open pockets, can span for miles. So they may drill right where I'm sitting at. But these wells could go from here to DeRidder. They can go for miles and you never even know it's down there. On February the 22nd, 2020, a CO2 pipeline exploded in Citeria, Mississippi, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right. She tells the story about the young men that were fishing and how it affected them. I'm sure if you contact her, she would be more than happy to let you read it. But to save time, I'm not going to go into all of that. As the carbon dioxide moved through the small rural communities, more than 200 people evacuated and at least 45 were hospitalized. Cars stopped working, hobbling the emergency response. People lay on the ground, shaking and unable to breathe. First responders did not know what was going on. The rupture occurred at 7:06 p.m. and spewed CO2 for about 4 hours. 4 hours. So it took 4 hours for them to go through the chain of command and the red tape to get someone out there to even do anything. 3 years later, the community is still affected. It still suffered the impacts of the CO2 well exposure. Well, I imagine so. Not to mention the mental part of this. Federal regulators who investigated found that the pipeline operator, Danbury Incorporated, violated several safety regulations that night, including in its emergency response. Well, why aren't we surprised about that? In April of 1986, a reactor 4 at a nuclear power plant exploded. The explosion was a result of manual error. Sounds like there's a history of this. A public meeting pertaining to CCS was held at the Leesville Fairgrounds in Leesville, Louisiana. Communications Director of the Louisiana Department of Energy and Natural Resources, Patrick Courageous, not sure how to say that, attempted to answer some of the questions the people had, myself included, and that's saying, I'm repeating what Miss Lexi has wrote. When I questioned him about the safety of CO2 wells, the effects that would have, etc., the response he gave was, I do not know, or that's above my pay grade. So if they do not know, and it's above their pay grade, and certain ones did not bother to read the in full bill when it come across their desk, just what have you done? What are you putting in our ground? If it's above your pay grade and you do not have an answer, there's a problem there. Miss Lexi is a student. She asked these questions not only on her behalf, but the behalf of everybody in all of these parishes, her classmates' parents. And you couldn't even do your homework to give this young lady a decent answer. All you could say is, I don't know, and that's above my pay grade. Shame on you. Truly shame on you. Per the LA Illuminator paper, Louisiana Illuminator, currently under the state law, parish governments get 30% of the revenue generated from CCS projects on the state land within their parishes. Another 30% goes to the state's Mineral and Energy Operations Funds, which pays for industry regulations in Louisiana. So 30% goes to the government, parish governments. That's not a whole lot. And 30% goes to the state's Mineral and Energies. Okay. The leftover 40% goes into a state general fund. All right. This is where it's going to get a little bit deep. So are y'all going to take that state general fund and fix stuff? No, you ain't done it yet. Medical bills has been capped by these companies. Do you think these people, when they lose loved ones, they care about a medical cap? Do you think they really care about a dollar sign? They can't hug a dollar sign. I'm going to go to the next subject before I get wrapped up. Per Google, as of December the 19th, 2024, Louisiana total liabilities, including the state and local government debt, are an estimated $37.97 billion. $37.97 billion is the estimated debt. Why are we in debt like this? Oh, wait. Because didn't they just buy a prison for juveniles? What was that, $37 million? Where did that money come from? Where did it come from? Our roads, our health care, our school funds. Where did that money come from? The parish payments of 7 parishes. Now this is the parishes that has received money from CCS. Vernon Parish, $4.1 million. $4.1 million. And they have yet to rebuild from Hurricane Laura. St. Charles, $968,000. Livingston, $921,000. St. John, $712,000. Jefferson, more than $500,000. Topanga, $79,000. Plaquemines, nearly 39,000. At this time, they are not showing that Vernon Parish, Sabine Parish, Beauregard Parish has received any funds. That doesn't mean they hadn't, some of them received some or had some palms greased. But at this time, per Google and DuckDuckGo, they are not showing any payments has been put out. Per Landgate.com, January the 15th of 2025, companies pay the state $7.50 per ton to store carbon dioxide. Carbon capture usually cannot be sold in large amounts of CO2 in commercial markets. But the U.S., thanks to tax credits, they can be sold and go for approximately $85 a ton. Some of you math geniuses do the math. Per the Advocate, since 2023, Louisiana parishes have received over $7 million from CCS projects on state land. Where has that money went? I guarantee you, it didn't go where it was supposed to. Guarantee you. Sulfur area. Now this is from April the 4th of 2024, but I know they had one a little bit more recent, matter of fact within the past 3 months, but I couldn't find a whole lot to corroborate it, so I didn't want to really put that out there yet. But for the sulfur area, residents said they received no notice. April the 4th, 2024, a carbon dioxide leak, estimated 2,548 barrels from an Exxon pipeline. They said they had no warning. They received no notice. And it took them over 2 hours to fix the leak. Starks, Louisiana, May 5th of 24. A 2-foot diameter pipeline at a CO2 pump station leak, releasing 107,000 tons. There was nobody on duty. The camera system failed. And they claimed that's why they did not know there was a leak in Starks, Louisiana. Why wasn't there somebody on duty? Per Darrell Morton, president of CLECO, right here in central Louisiana, has applied for a permit to place a CCS well out by CLECO Lake. So they're still applying for permits? Are we even going to have any ground to sit on? Is our houses going to start sinking? CLECO, don't you get rich enough? Per Russ Wilson, he said that's on top of the hot well spot with added heat under the ground, making it a prime location for a leak to the surface. You have a lake, you have hot wells, and they're wanting to put an underground storage facility. That's not a recipe for disaster, is it? Not at all. I went a little bit further because I wanted to see who's benefiting from all of this and why it's being pushed. Who owns the most acres in Louisiana? Foreign entity number 1. And I'm not even sure if I can say these numbers. They're so big. 1,390,000 acres is owned by foreigners. That means they are not U.S. citizens. They could be from China, they could be from Japan, they could be from Africa, Europe, Canada. They are not U.S. citizens. The federal government owns 1,330,429 acres. So foreign entity owns more than the federal government in the state of Louisiana. The Martin family owns 582,000 acres. Bill and Melinda Gates, ding, 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 70,000. Golden Ranch Farms, 52,000. Louisiana Land and Trust, 10,000 acres. Feel free to share this. Feel free to go back. I've tried to give all the information I can if you'd like to do your own research. I know there's some puzzle pieces here. I'm not exactly sure how to put them together yet. But I will in time. And I'm sure with y'all's help we will be able, there's no I, we will be able to put this all together. For the certain elected officials that made the comment that they were very disappointed that we set Louisiana back. No, we did not set Louisiana back. Y'all set Louisiana back when you brought CCS in here. You also set Louisiana back by the lies that you told by voting us in. Your constituents in the office is what set it back. Don't put this blame on the people. The people has finally come together and stood up as a whole. Once you go in there to vote, we don't know how you vote. We have to trust that you're going to vote the right way. So are you going to go in there and be butthurt that it didn't get passed the first time, the amendment number 2, and you're going to go in there and hurt the people further? Or are you going to go in there and do what the people that voted you in truly wants done? It's only a matter of time before people start bringing receipts and dropping names. You can't keep lying. You can't keep hiding stuff. The truth always comes out. Maybe weeks, months, years, or decades down the road, but the truth always comes out. See, it did with Bobby Jindal, and a young lady found that. He thought he had started pulling the wool over people's eyes, and he did. And now y'all are catching the raft of it. At this point, our state needs more prayers than anything. I haven't been able to make any of the meetings because of my work schedule. So hopefully I can make some before it's over with, and I hope these meetings work out. But at this point, we just got to pray. I'm going to get out of here, quit rambling, and say your prayers. Watch your children. Watch your families. Say your prayers and stay safe. Love y'all.